On August 14, 2004, David Sneddon, a student at Brigham Young University, disappeared without explanation while hiking in the Yunnan province of southwest China. David is an outstanding young man who speaks fluent Korean and has spent the summer studying Mandarin in Beijing, with plans to return to the U.S. in August to finish his degree in Chinese. He had already paid a housing deposit and registered to take the law school admissions test. The U.S. State Department and Chinese government eventually concluded that David fell into a gorge while hiking. But David's family conducted their own exhaustive investigation, with David's father and two older brothers flying to China shortly after his disappearance to retrace his steps. In the course of talking with numerous eyewitnesses, David's family discovered facts which contradict the official explanation and which I believe are compelling evidence of another possibility, which I'll get to in just a moment. My staff and I met David's family and heard his story soon after I was elected 3 years ago. The Sneddons are remarkable people of great faith who have continued to pursue an explanation for David's disappearance for the past 11 years. The resolution I am introducing today regarding David's disappearance is a result of the hard work and diligence of David's parents, siblings, and cousins. They deserve answers. They deserve to have their government do everything possible to determine what happened to David. I should also add that David's story is personal to me. He was a close friend of my oldest son, Sean. In fact, following David's 2-year missionary service in South Korea, David taught my son, Sean, the Korean language as he was preparing to begin his own missionary service in South Korea. Though I have not met David, I'm grateful for the impact he had on Sean's life. Over the past 3 years, I've had various opportunities to meet with State Department personnel to discuss David's disappearance. They are good people, and I commend them for their help, particularly in the immediate aftermath of his disappearance, while they repeatedly pressured the Chinese government to pursue the various leads identified by David's family. However, I'm concerned that bureaucratic inertia has made the State Department complacent in this case. I'm concerned the State Department leadership has not done all they can do to pursue all of the possible explanations for his disappearance. One of the unexplored possibilities is that David was abducted by agents in North Korea regime, something which a number of respected experts on North Korea have advanced in recent years. While this may sound like an outlandish theory to those unfamiliar with North Korea's history, it's becoming very plausible when you understand the regime's long history of abducting foreign citizens to use in training their own foreign agents. For many years, North Korea systematically kidnapped Chinese or Japanese citizens and used captives to train their intelligence operatives in Japanese language and culture. The regime finally admitted to the abductions in 2002 and returned 5 of the Japanese citizens. There are numerous other facts which, when combined, make North Korea's involvement conceivable. North Korean agents are known to operate in Yunnan province, a common area for those escaping North Korea into Southeast Asia. David disappeared during a long time of heightened tensions between the U.S. and North Korea, just weeks after this House passed the North Korean Human Rights Act. And David disappeared 1 month after North Korea released Charles Jenkins, an American deserter from the Korean War, being held and used precisely as the abducted Japanese citizen, as language teacher for North Korean military cadets and spies. Jenkins was the last of the known Americans being held for this purpose, and it's possible the regime needed a replacement for him. Just this past Sunday, North Korea's rocket launch, in defiance of sanctions and against explicit counsel of the international community, reminded us that North Korea doesn't operate on the same norms that guide diplomacy for most of the rest of the world. They are a criminal enterprise more than a government, and they can do nothing for their own people, let alone for other nations. Mr. Speaker, I don't raise a possibility regarding David Sneddon's disappearance lightly, and I didn't sponsor this resolution lightly. I recognize the words we speak on foreign policy have consequences far beyond this room. But David is the only American to disappear in China without explanation since the normalization of relations during the Nixon administration. This is not a fact to be taken lightly. My resolution lays out the facts of his disappearance and asks 3 essential actions by the State Department and intelligence community. First, that they continue to investigate and consider all possible explanations for David's disappearance, including potential abduction by North Korea. Second, that they coordinate their efforts with the government of Japan, South Korea, and particularly China, the country known to have at least some influence over North Korea. And finally, that they keep the Congress and Sneddon family informed of these efforts. I'd like to thank Senator Lee for sponsoring companion bill in the Senate and the rest of the Utah delegation for joining me as co-sponsors. I think I can speak for the delegation when I say that David's family deserves a thorough effort from their own government to discover what happened to him. This is the very least that we can ask. Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back my time.